Have you ever stepped on the scale in the morning and thought, wow, I'm down 2 pounds, only to find yourself up 3 pounds the next day, even though you didn't do anything differently? Well, that happens to me, but that up and down drove me crazy for years. The problem was that I used to think that the number on the scale was the goal, but eventually I realized something very important, that what we really want is fat loss, not weight loss, and the scale can't tell the difference. It just gives you a number. The problem is that that number can lie to you in a bunch of different ways. So in this video, I'm going to break down the 4 main ways that the scale lies, how to use it the right way, and what to focus on instead so that you can make real long-term progress. The first reason the scale lies is because it measures everything, not just fat. It's measuring fat, muscle, bones, organs, water, and also the food that's still in your system. And what most people don't realize is that your weight can fluctuate between 2 to 5 pounds per day based on what you ate, how much water you drank, your sodium levels, hormones, your sleep, your stress. And I know that when I go out to eat or I do takeout, I'm always going to be heavier the next day, and sometimes by 3 to 5 pounds. And when I see that, I think to myself, what are they putting in that food? But that weight increase is not fat gain. It's mostly water retention. But the problem is that when the scale goes up, I think I'm screwing up. And when it goes down, I think I'm doing great. But in both cases, my fat levels haven't really changed. And that up and down process is just very emotionally exhausting, and it doesn't really help me with my fat loss. One of the biggest ways that the scale can lie to you is through water weight shifts. And one of the ways that it does that is related to carbohydrates. Here's how it works. Your body stores carbohydrates as glycogen in the muscles and the liver. And every gram of glycogen holds on to about 3 to 4 grams of water. So if you cut carbs or you burn through them, your glycogen stores drop, and so does the water. In the past, if I was on a plan that was cutting carbs for a few days, I would always see the number on the scale drop, and I'd think to myself, oh, this is great, I'm losing weight. But it was really just water loss. It wasn't fat loss. And as soon as I ate carbohydrates again and refilled those glycogen stores, the weight just came back on. So just be aware that if you're doing any type of carbohydrate restriction, that the initial drop on the scale is mostly water. Number 3, another way that you can get the scale to move, and fast, is through simple dehydration. And I used to use this to manipulate the scale all the time. Years ago, I would go play golf on a hot day, I'd sweat, I wouldn't drink that much, I wouldn't have anything to eat, and then rush over to my Weight Watchers weigh-in. Now, I do not recommend doing this, but when I did this, the number on the scale was lower. And I would say to myself, oh, look at me, I lost weight. When I really didn't. I did. I lost weight. I lost water weight, not fat. It was completely ridiculous. All I was doing was dehydrating my system and flushing all the fluids out so I could get a lower number on the scale. And as soon as I replenished those fluids, which I should have been doing the whole time, the weight would just come back. But when that scale was down, I was celebrating like it was real progress, but it wasn't real progress. It was just scale manipulation. So don't use dehydration to get a lower number on the scale. It's ridiculous. Number 4, you might be losing muscle. This is one of the biggest mistakes people can make when they're trying to lose weight. Sometimes when the number on that scale drops, it's not all fat. A percentage of that weight loss can be muscle. And that's a real problem because regardless of your age, especially if you're older, you want to be keeping as much muscle as you possibly can. Muscle is what helps you stay fit and active, it helps you burn more calories, and it helps you look toned, not just smaller. But you can lose muscle if you're trying to lose weight too fast, or you're not eating enough, or you're low on protein, you're skipping your resistance training, or you're doing too much cardio and not balancing it out with any type of resistance or strength training. And the more extreme you are with these things, the more muscle you could be losing. If your body senses a big drop in calories, it could start trying to hold on to the fat and might start breaking down the muscle and use that for fuel instead. So yeah, the scale might drop, but if you're losing muscle, you could be getting smaller, weaker, softer, more tired. I mean, that's not what you want. I mean, because the goal is not just to weigh less, it should be to lose fat and maintain as much muscle as you possibly can. And that's really what we want. So how can we use the scale properly? Okay, so after all this, should you just throw your scale in the garbage? Well, I've thought about doing that. But no, the scale can be a very useful tool if you learn to use it in the right way. And here are some things to help you make the scale work for you instead of work against you. First, remember that weight loss is not linear and that the scale can fluctuate between 2 and 5 pounds per day, and that's totally normal. Instead of obsessing over daily ups and downs, start looking at overall trends. Are your weekly averages moving in the right direction? That's really what matters. Try thinking in terms of weight ranges instead of exact numbers. For example, if you normally bounce around between 173 to 176 pounds, maybe your next goal is to get into the 170 to the 173 pound weight range. If the scale messes with your head, just weigh yourself once a week, same time, same conditions, and then just forget about the rest of the week. If you do weigh yourself daily, use it as data, not judgment. Pay attention to how the weight responds to different types of meals, the weekends, if you eat out or do takeout, and just learn from it. Over time, you'll start seeing patterns and learn how these different things affect your body, which will make the scale a little less random and a little more predictable. Also, if you're cutting carbs, just know that initially you might have a quick drop on the scale because of water loss. Just be aware of it so it doesn't throw you off. And remember that the scale is just one tool to help you track your progress. So what should you focus on? So keep using the scale, but here are some other ways to help you track and monitor your fat loss progress. Make sure you take progress photos. Pictures are the best way to see changes that you're making that you don't notice day to day. Use tape measurements and body fat tests. Even basic measurements can really show progress over time. Pay attention to how your clothes are fitting you, and you could use that to help motivate you. Years ago, I gained a bunch of weight and I didn't fit in a lot of my clothes, and I refused to go out and get bigger clothes. I just kept losing weight until I could fit into my existing wardrobe. And keep an eye on your muscle, your strength, and your energy levels. Are you maintaining your muscle and your strength? How are you feeling during the day? So stop chasing a number on the scale. Use the scale as one of the tools that you use to track your progress. And focus on what matters, which is losing fat, not weight, and maintaining your muscle, your strength, and building habits over time that last. Now, it might not happen overnight, but if you take your time, those results will last. And that's what long-term fat loss is all about. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like what I had to say, click the like button, subscribe, remember to stay active, and I'll see you in the next video.